The great council chamber floated in the darkness of space like a jewel among stars. Inside its crystal walls, 47 species gathered to discuss a problem that refused to go away. Ambassador Kelthera of the Zinthari stood at her station, her scaled fingers tapping nervously against the control panel. For the 18th time in as many months, humanity had ignored their summons. This disrespect cannot continue. High Arbiter Vexthor clicked through his translation device. His insectoid body shifted with agitation, compound eyes glittering in the chamber's blue light. The humans grow bold in their silence. They expand without permission. They build without approval. They ignore our very authority. Kelthera watched the holographic display showing human territory. Red markers indicated their recent expansion into the outer Perseus arm. Unauthorized stations appeared like scattered seeds across systems that should have required council approval. Something had changed. For 200 years, humans had been quiet, compliant, almost boring in their predictability. They were the species that fixed things when they broke, the ones who volunteered for dangerous jobs no one else wanted. Hard workers, creative thinkers, but never ambitious, never aggressive. The council had classified them as Tier 3 contributors, useful but not influential. That assessment now seemed dangerously wrong. Perhaps we should consider why they have gone silent, Kelthera suggested carefully. The chamber's attention turned toward her. She felt the weight of dozens of alien gazes, some curious, many hostile. 6 months ago, their colony on Nuterra was attacked. 70,000 humans died in the Krill raid. When they came to us for help, what did we say? Border dispute protocols, Counselor Thrain growled. The massive Draknor's scales rippled with dismissal. The colony was established in contested space. The humans knew the risks. 70,000 dead, Kelthera repeated softly. And we told them it was their own fault. Vexthor's mandibles clicked sharply. The law is clear. The humans chose to settle in dangerous territory. We cannot police every frontier world for every species that makes poor decisions. This is not relevant to their current insubordination. But it was relevant, Kelthera thought. She had studied humans more carefully than most. They were emotional creatures, driven by concepts the council often found irrational. Honor, justice, protection of their own. When those instincts were triggered, humans became unpredictable. The holographic display shifted to show intercepted transmissions. Or rather, the lack of them. Human communications had gone dark 3 months ago. Not silent exactly, but encrypted beyond anything the council's experts could break. Trade continued, but only within human space. Their diplomatic staff had returned home one by one, citing various excuses. Their ships no longer traveled through council space using the approved jump gates. They are hiding something, Admiral Kreth announced. The Vraxian military commander stood tall, his crystalline body refracting light into rainbow patterns. Our intelligence suggests massive industrial activity. Energy signatures consistent with shipyard construction. Resource extraction at unprecedented levels. Building what? Counselor Yara asked, her amphibious features creasing with concern. Ships, weapons? For what purpose? That is precisely what we must know. Vexthor declared, I call for a vote. The humans will answer our summons within 30 standard days, or we will impose sanctions. If sanctions fail, we will consider military intervention. Kelthera wanted to object, but the vote proceeded quickly. 41 species approved. Only 6 abstained or voted against. The decision was made. Humanity would be brought to heel, willingly or not. The transmission went out that evening, broadcast on all frequencies, delivered through every possible channel. The message was simple and direct. Humanity had 30 days to send representatives to the council chamber. Failure to comply would result in immediate sanctions, seizure of assets in council space, and potential military action. 3 days passed, then 7, then 15. No response came. Kelthera returned to her private quarters and accessed the classified files on humanity. She read their history again, looking for clues everyone else had missed. They came from a dangerous world, that much was known. High gravity, wild weather, aggressive predators. They had crawled up from being prey animals to become their planet's dominant species through stubbornness and tool use. Their first contact with the Council had been violent. A Zinthari exploration vessel had attempted to claim Earth's moon for mining operations, not realizing the planet below housed intelligent life. The humans had responded by shooting down 3 survey ships with primitive nuclear missiles. The council had been impressed by their courage, if not their technology. Over the following decades, humans had integrated peacefully. They learned council languages, adopted council technology, and found their niche. They were good with machines, excellent at improvisation, and willing to work jobs that other species considered too dangerous or too dull. They spread across their local systems, established colonies, and seemed content with their modest place in galactic society. What had the council missed? Kelthera pulled up psychological profiles. Humans bonded intensely with their groups. They formed what they called families, tribes, nations. Attack one human and others would respond, sometimes irrationally. They held grudges for generations. They told stories about their defeats and remembered their dead with religious fervor. 70,000 dead on New Terra. Not just numbers to them. 70,000 stories ended, families destroyed, children who would never grow up. And the council had said it was their own fault for settling in the wrong place. Kelthera's scales prickled with sudden understanding. Humans had not gone silent because they were afraid. They had gone silent because they were preparing. She tried to warn the council, but her concerns were dismissed. Vexthor reminded her that humanity possessed perhaps 300 military vessels, outdated and poorly armed compared to council standards. Even if they had built more ships, it would take decades to match the combined might of 47 spacefaring civilizations. Day 20 arrived, then 25. Council military forces began to gather near human space. 20 different species contributed ships, creating a fleet of over 1,500 vessels. It was a show of force meant to intimidate. The message was clear: comply or be destroyed. Kelthera watched the fleet assemble and felt something she rarely experienced. Fear, not fear of humans, but fear for them. They were about to be crushed, and somehow she knew they would not surrender easily. Day 28 came. Intelligence reported that human activity had reached a fever pitch, then suddenly stopped. Their industrial signatures went dark. Their ships disappeared from sensors. Even the colonies seemed to power down, going into minimal life support mode. They are abandoning their territory, Kreth announced triumphantly. The cowards flee rather than face justice. But Kelthera did not believe it. She stared at the star maps, at the empty spaces where human ships should be. They were not running. They were hiding, waiting. Day 30 arrived like a held breath finally released. The council assembled in full ceremony, prepared to pronounce judgment on the absent humans. Vexthor stood at the central podium, all 6 of his limbs spread in a gesture of absolute authority. Let the record show that humanity has failed to answer the summons of this council, he began. By the powers granted to us by the Galactic Concordat, we hereby declare that all human assets in council space are forfeit. All human ships are to be detained or destroyed. All human colonies outside their core systems are ordered to submit to council governance within. The sensors screamed. Every detection system in the chamber activated at once, alarms blaring in 24 different frequencies. The holographic display exploded with contacts, hundreds of them, thousands of them appearing from nowhere. Space itself seemed to tear open around the council chamber. Reality rippled and distorted as ships emerged from quantum tunnels that should not exist. They came in perfect formation, wave after wave materializing in patterns too precise to be natural. Human warships filled the void, sleek and deadly and utterly unlike anything they had built before. 10,000 vessels arranged in geometric perfection, their hulls dark as night, their weapons ports glowing with barely contained energy. And on every communication channel, a single message played in a woman's calm voice: "You summoned us. We have arrived. Now you will listen." 6 months earlier, the skies of New Terra had burned with plasma fire. Admiral Sarah Chen remembered watching the attack from orbit, helpless as Krell raiders tore through the colony's defenses. She had commanded only a small patrol group, 3 outdated frigates against 20 Krell warships. By the time reinforcements arrived, the raiders had already completed their work. 70,000 humans dead, entire cities reduced to smoking craters. The survivors huddled in shelters, traumatized and abandoned by a galaxy that should have protected them. Chen had personally traveled to the council chamber to plead for intervention. She stood before the assembled species and presented evidence of the attack. She showed them bodies of children, recordings of civilians begging for help, proof that the Krell had deliberately targeted population centers. The Council's response had been delivered with bureaucratic coldness. Border dispute protocols, contested territory, insufficient evidence of unprovoked aggression. Request denied. Chen had stood in that chamber, surrounded by aliens who saw humans as little more than convenient labor, and felt something break inside her. Not her spirit, but her faith. Faith that the Council would protect them. Faith that playing by the rules meant anything. Faith that being good members of galactic society would keep her people safe. She returned to Earth and requested an immediate meeting with the Secretary General. Within hours, she sat across from President Margaret Okafor in a secured bunker deep beneath Geneva. The room held 15 people, the most powerful humans alive. Military commanders, intelligence chiefs, industrial leaders, and scientific advisors. They will not help us, Chen reported simply. When we are attacked, we die alone. The Council considers us expendable. The silence that followed was absolute. These were not impulsive people. They were leaders who had spent their lives working within the system, believing that cooperation and patience would earn humanity respect. That belief had just died. What are our options? Okafor asked quietly. General Thomas Adeyemi, head of Strategic Defense Command, pulled up holographic displays. We have 312 military vessels. Most are 20 to 30 years old, built to Council specifications. Against any major power, we would last perhaps 3 days. Against the Council itself? He shook his head. Hours, so we do nothing? Chen's voice was sharp. We wait for the next attack? We lose another colony? How many dead before we admit the truth? We are cattle to them. Useful animals to be used and discarded. What do you suggest? Asked Dr. James Okonkwo, humanity's chief scientific advisor. His dark eyes studied Chen with analytical precision. Chen activated her own presentation. We invoke Protocol 7. The room erupted in argument. Protocol 7 was humanity's nightmare scenario, created after first contact when they realized how dangerous the galaxy truly was. It had never been used because it required something extraordinary. Total mobilization. Every resource, every ship, every factory dedicated to a single purpose: survival. That protocol assumes an extinction-level threat, Okafor pointed out. The Council is not trying to exterminate us. They are abandoning us to it, Chen countered. The Krell will come again. So will others. They see us as easy targets now, weak, without protection. How long before raiding turns to conquest? How long before they decide human worlds make good slaves? Dr. Okonkwo leaned forward. If we invoke Protocol 7, we will need technological advantages. Our current weapons are insufficient. But I have been working on something. Several projects, actually, that the Council explicitly forbids. Forbidden technology? General Adeyemi's eyebrows rose. How forbidden? The quantum tunneling research alone carries a death penalty under Council law, Okonkwo admitted. But if we succeed, we could travel between systems instantaneously, bypassing their jump gates entirely. I have 16 other projects in various stages. Some are weapons, some are defensive systems. All are beyond what the Council believes possible. The debate lasted 3 hours. In the end, the vote was unanimous. Humanity would invoke Protocol 7. They would go silent, cut themselves off from the Council, and prepare. Not for war exactly, but for the capacity to wage it. To defend themselves. To make any aggressor think twice. The orders went out through encrypted channels. Every human colony received the same message: prepare, build, arm yourselves. Trust no one outside humanity. Chen took command of Operation Thunderstrike, the military component of their mobilization. She moved her headquarters to Luna, to the vast command center buried beneath Tycho Crater. From there, she coordinated the greatest industrial effort in human history. Asteroid mining operations expanded exponentially. Entire belts were consumed, their metals and minerals processed by automated factories that worked without rest. The shipyards of Mars doubled, then tripled, then grew beyond counting. New yards were constructed in deep space, hidden behind gas giants and in the shadows of dead systems. Chen walked through one of the new facilities 2 months into the operation. The shipyard stretched for 50 kilometers, an impossibly vast construction of steel and carbon fiber. Thousands of human workers floated in zero gravity, their suits marked with company logos and national flags. But there were no divisions now. Nigerians worked alongside Russians. Chinese engineers collaborated with Brazilian technicians. American scientists shared research with Indian mathematicians. The ships taking shape before her bore no resemblance to the old human vessels. Those had been built to Council specifications, efficient and practical but unremarkable. These new warships were something else entirely. Sleek hulls designed for speed and stealth. Weapon systems that drew on Dr. Okonkwo's forbidden research. Energy shields that could withstand punishment from the Council's best weaponry. How many? Chen asked Captain Maria Rodriguez, her protege and the future commander of the flagship. Shipyard Gamma alone will produce 600 vessels within 5 months, Rodriguez reported. She was young, barely 40, but she had proven herself during the New Terra crisis. Across all facilities, we estimate 10,000 warships by the deadline. 10,000. The number should have been impossible. But humanity had advantages the Council did not expect. They bred faster than most species. They required less specialized training. A human could learn to operate complex systems in months where other species needed years. Their adaptability, once considered a weakness, now proved invaluable. Dr. Okonkwo's projects began to bear fruit. The quantum tunneling breakthrough came first, allowing ships to rip holes through space-time itself. The energy requirements were enormous, but human fusion reactors had improved far beyond Council standards. Humans had always been good at power generation, a skill developed on their harsh world. Weapons came next, railguns that fired projectiles at relativistic speeds, plasma cannons that burned hotter than stellar cores, missiles equipped with AI guidance systems that could outthink enemy countermeasures, and one weapon that Dr. Okonkwo refused to explain fully, simply calling it the hammer. It works on quantum entanglement principles, he told Chen during a private briefing. It can destabilize molecular bonds across vast distances. Against shielded targets, it is devastating. Against planets, he paused. Let us hope we never need to find out. Chen authorized its installation on her flagship. The vessel was named Defiance, a statement of humanity's new philosophy. No more begging, no more hoping for protection. They would stand on their own, strong enough that no one would dare attack them again. Training intensified as the deadline approached. Every ship needed a crew. Every weapon needed an operator. Chen pushed her people hard, but they responded with determination she had rarely seen. They had all lost someone on New Terra, or knew someone who had. The pain was fresh and the anger was real. 2 weeks before day 30, Chen assembled her fleet. They gathered in a system humanity had never officially claimed, far from Council censors. 10,000 warships arranged in formation, their running lights painting constellations against the void. Rodriguez stood beside Chen on Defiance's bridge, looking at the tactical display with something like awe. We actually did it. This is only the beginning, Chen said quietly. Ships are tools. Now we must prove we can use them wisely. The Council will demand we disarm, Rodriguez pointed out. They will call this a threat to galactic peace. Chen smiled without humor. Then perhaps they should have thought about that before they abandoned us to die. We are not asking for permission anymore, Captain. We are not requesting protection. We are informing them of a new reality. Humanity stands alone and we stand armed. The final days passed in preparation and planning. Chen reviewed scenarios, war-gamed outcomes, and prepared speeches she hoped she would never need to deliver. She was not a warmonger. She did not want conflict. But she would not back down either. On day 29, she gave the order. The fleet would enter quantum tunnels simultaneously, emerging directly outside the Council chamber. It would be shocking, unprecedented, and completely legal. The Council had summoned humanity. Humanity would answer. Chen recorded her message, the one that would play as they arrived. She kept it simple, direct. No threats, but no apologies either. The fleet entered the tunnels at exactly the right moment. Reality twisted around them as they traveled through spaces that should not exist. The Council's combined fleet hung in space around the chamber like predators waiting for prey. 1,500 warships from 20 different species, each one a statement of power. Admiral Kreth stood on his flagship's bridge, confident in his overwhelming advantage. 300 human ships, he had been told, outdated and poorly maintained. This would be a short confrontation. Sensors detect no approaching vessels, his tactical officer reported. The Vraxians' crystalline features showed satisfaction. The humans appear to have abandoned their territory completely. Energy signatures are minimal across all their systems. They run like cowards, Kreth announced to the fleet commanders on the communication channels. A wise decision. When they return, they will find new management of their worlds. Inside the council chamber, Vexthor prepared to make his pronouncement official. Kelthera watched him with growing unease. Something felt wrong. Humans did not run. She had studied them too long to believe they would simply abandon 200 years of civilization without a fight. Let the record show that humanity has failed to answer the summons of this council. Vexthor began his formal declaration. His voice carried the weight of galactic law transmitted across thousands of systems. By the powers granted to us by the Galactic Concordat, we hereby declare that all human assets in council space are forfeit. All human ships are to be detained or destroyed. All human colonies outside their core systems are ordered to submit to council governance within. Every alarm in the council chamber activated simultaneously. The sound was deafening. 24 different warning systems screaming in electronic panic. Holographic displays exploded with information, showing contacts appearing from nowhere. Kreth's tactical officer stumbled backward from his station. Contacts! Multiple contacts. Hundreds of contacts. They are appearing inside our defensive perimeter.
Impossible! Kreth snapped.
No one can jump directly into guarded space. The gravitational interference would tear ships apart, but the sensors did not lie. Space itself was tearing, reality distorting as massive objects forced their way into normal dimensions, not through jump gates, not through standard faster-than-light travel, through something else entirely. The first human ship emerged like a knife through silk. It was huge, easily twice the size of any vessel in Kreth's fleet. Its hull was dark, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Weapons ports glowed with barely contained energy, and it was beautiful in the way predators are beautiful, all clean lines and deadly purpose. Then another ship appeared, and another, and hundreds more. Kelthera watched the tactical display with disbelief that bordered on awe. Human ships were materializing in perfect geometric formations, each one precisely positioned relative to the others. Waves of vessels appeared in coordinated patterns that should have required years of practice. Thousands of ships all emerging within seconds of each other. How many? Counselor Thrain demanded, his massive form trembling with shock. Still counting, the sensor operator responded, voice shaking. 5,000. 7,000. 9,000. They are still coming. The council fleet began to panic. Ships broke formation, commanders shouting contradictory orders. Some vessels charged weapons preparing to fire. Others attempted to retreat, only to find themselves surrounded. 10,000 human warships now filled the space around the council chamber. They arranged themselves in patterns that made military strategists weep. Every council vessel found itself targeted by at least 5 human ships. Every approach vector was covered. Every possible retreat was blocked, and through it all the human fleet maintained absolute silence. Admiral Kreth stared at his displays, trying to understand what he was seeing. The human ships were not just numerous. They were advanced, sophisticated. His sensors could barely read their energy signatures. His targeting system struggled to lock onto vessels that seemed to blur and shift, as if existing partially in another dimension. "Get me a weapon analysis," he demanded. His tactical officer worked frantically, unable to determine weapons loadout with precision. Energy readings are off all known scales. Hull composition unknown. Defensive capabilities unknown. Sir, our entire database has nothing comparable to these vessels. In the council chamber, Vexthor's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. This is a violation of every law. Unauthorized military buildup. Illegal technology. Threatening behavior. They answered your summons, Kelthera said quietly. You demanded they appear. They have appeared. This is not what we meant. Perhaps you should have been more specific. Every communication channel suddenly activated. The same message played across all frequencies in all languages, impossible to ignore or block. A woman's voice, calm and professional, delivered words that would echo through galactic history. You summoned us. We have arrived. Now you will listen. The holographic display in the council chamber flickered and changed. The woman from the transmission appeared, life-sized and solid-looking. She wore a military uniform of dark blue, decorated with symbols of rank and achievement. Her hair was gray, her face lined with age and experience, but her eyes were sharp and completely unafraid. I am Admiral Sarah Chen, Supreme Commander of the Human Defense Fleet, she announced. For 200 years, humanity has served the Council faithfully. We followed your laws. We paid our taxes. We contributed to galactic society. And when we were attacked, when 70,000 of our people were slaughtered, we came to you for help." The chamber was silent. Every species representative watched the transmission, understanding that history was being made. "You told us it was our fault," Chen continued. Her voice remained calm, but something cold lurked beneath the words. "You said we should not have settled in contested territory. You called 70,000 dead an acceptable loss, a border dispute, not worth your attention." Ships began to move in the human fleet, not aggressive movements, but deliberate ones. Each vessel shifted slightly, adjusting position with mechanical precision. The message was clear. Every movement was controlled. Every action was intentional. "We understood your message," Chen said. "Humanity stands alone." "Very well, we accept that. We no longer require council protection, because we no longer trust the council to provide it. We no longer ask permission for our expansion, because we no longer recognize your authority to grant it. We no longer bow to galactic law because that law abandoned us when we needed it most." "This is rebellion," Vexthor shrieked. "This is treason against the Concordat." Chen's hologram turned slightly, as if looking directly at the High Arbiter. "Rebellion implies we were ever truly yours to command. We were members of the Council, not subjects. That membership was a choice. We are now choosing differently." Admiral Kreth activated his weapon systems. Around him, other Council commanders did the same. Thousands of targeting locks activated, painting human ships with deadly intent. The human fleet did not react, did not fire, did not even raise shields. They simply waited. "If you fire," Chen said quietly, "you will kill us all. Your ships, our ships, the Council chamber itself. The energy release from this many vessels fighting in such close quarters would be catastrophic. You summoned us here. You created this situation. Now you must live with the consequences." Kelthara felt her blood run cold. Chen was right. Any battle in this confined space would be mutual destruction. The humans had positioned themselves perfectly, turning the Council's own fleet into hostages. "What do you want?" Counselor Yara asked, her amphibious voice carrying fear and fascination. "Respect," Chen answered simply. "Recognition. The same rights you grant every other species. We will control our own territory. We will defend our own people. We will expand as our population requires. And we will never again beg for help that will not come." "And if we refuse?" Vexthor demanded. Chen smiled. It was not a warm expression. "Then we leave the Council entirely and pursue our own path. Without your laws. Without your restrictions. Without your oversight. We will do what we must to survive. And we will not ask your opinion first." The High Arbiter's compound eyes glittered with fury and frustration. He looked at the tactical displays, at the impossible fleet that should not exist, at the human commander who had outmaneuvered the entire Council. "You come here with threats and demands," Vexthor said. "You violate our laws and display military force. Why should we not simply destroy you despite the cost?" "Because we are not your enemies," Chen replied. Her voice softened slightly. "We could have struck first. We could have attacked Council worlds and taken what we wanted by force. Instead, we answered your summons. We came here to talk, but we came as equals, not as subordinates. The choice of what happens next is yours." The transmission ended. Chen's hologram faded, leaving the Council in stunned silence. Outside, the human fleet waited. 10,000 warships holding position with perfect discipline, each one named for concepts that mattered to humans. Defiance, sovereignty, liberty, remembrance, justice, hope. They had come when summoned. They had shown their strength. They had made their demands clear. Now the galaxy would discover whether the Council valued pride more than survival, whether they could adapt to a new reality where humanity was no longer weak. Kelthara looked at the human ships and felt something unprecedented. Not fear exactly, though fear was certainly present. The negotiation chamber was designed to intimidate. 3 stories tall, built from crystal that amplified sound and light. It made visitors feel small and exposed. Admiral Sarah Chen walked into it like she owned the place. Behind her, 6 human soldiers in combat armor maintained perfect formation. Their weapons were holstered, but the message was clear. Humanity no longer came begging. Chen wore her dress uniform, dark blue with gold insignia. Every medal she had earned over 40 years of service decorated her chest. She had fought pirates in the outer systems. led rescue missions through solar storms, defended colonies from raiders, and now she stood before the assembled Galactic Council as an equal. The 47 species representatives watched her approach, some with hostility, some with fear, a few with something that might have been respect. Ambassador Kelthera sat among them, her scaled features unreadable. High Arbiter Vexthor occupied the central podium, elevated above everyone else. His insectoid body was rigid with barely contained anger. Admiral Chen, you stand before this council accused of unauthorized military buildup, illegal technological development, and threatening behavior toward lawful authorities. How do you answer these charges? Chen did not look up at him. She activated her portable holographic projector, instead filling the chamber with images. New Terra burning, bodies in the streets, children crying over dead parents, Krell ships retreating, their cargo holds full of stolen technology and enslaved survivors. I answer with evidence, she said. This was New Terra, a human colony of 70,000 people, farmers, teachers, engineers, families. They were attacked by Krell raiders 6 months ago. We brought this evidence to the Council and requested intervention under the mutual defense provisions of the Concordat. The images changed, showing the Council's official response. Kelthera recognized the document. She had helped write it, though she had argued against its cold tone. Border dispute protocols, Chen read aloud. Insufficient evidence of unprovoked aggression. Colony established in contested space. Request denied. She paused. 70,000 dead, and you called it a border dispute. The law is clear, Vexthor insisted. Colonies in contested regions accept certain risks. We cannot protect every settlement in the galaxy. But you can protect Zinthari colonies, Chen countered. When the Krell attacked Epsilon Station last year, the Council deployed 3 battle groups within hours. 40 Krell ships destroyed, the station saved. Why? Because Zinthari are a Tier 1 species. Valued, important, protected. The Zinthari delegation shifted uncomfortably. Councillor Thrain, the massive Draknor, growled low in his throat. Are you accusing this council of favoritism? I am stating facts, Chen replied. Humans are classified as Tier 3, useful laborers, good mechanics, not worth defending. We understood the message. When you will not protect us, we must protect ourselves. More images appeared. 17 different incidents over the past decade where human appeals for help had been denied or delayed. Pirates raiding human shipping lanes. Territorial disputes where council arbitration favored larger species. Trade agreements that disadvantaged human merchants. None of it illegal exactly, but all of it demonstrating a clear pattern. We followed your laws, Chen continued. We trusted your justice, and slowly we realized the truth. The Council does not see us as partners. You see us as subordinates, convenient when we fix your machines or work your dangerous jobs, disposable when we ask for protection. This is inflammatory rhetoric, Vexthor snapped. You twist facts to justify your illegal actions. Chen finally looked up at the High Arbiter. Then explain the weapons restrictions. Zinthari may develop quantum entanglement drives. Vraxians may build planet-cracking devices. Draknor may maintain fleets of dreadnoughts. But when humans research advanced propulsion, it is declared illegal. When we develop new weapons, we violate Council law. Why? Silence. The kind of silence that admits uncomfortable truths. Because you feared we might become dangerous, Chen answered her own question. You saw a species with high reproduction rates, adaptability, and creativity. You recognized potential, so you created laws to keep us weak, to ensure we remained dependent, to prevent exactly what has now occurred. Admiral Kreth stood from his delegation's section. The Vraxian commander's crystalline body refracted light angrily. You claim oppression, but you threaten us with military force. Your fleet surrounds this chamber. You speak of defense while demonstrating aggression. Chen gestured to her soldiers. One of them stepped forward and activated another holographic display. This one showed military deployment records. When we went silent 3 months ago, how did the Council respond? Chen asked. You assembled a fleet, 1,500 warships from 20 species. You positioned them outside human space, prepared for what you called intervention. Military intervention against a member species that had committed no act of war. Who exactly was threatening whom? The Council fleet's deployment orders appeared. In the holographic display, time-stamped and authenticated, Counselor Yara's amphibious features turned an embarrassed shade of green. We were prepared to seize human colonies, Chen continued, to detain or destroy human ships, to impose Council governance by force. Your own words, High Arbiter. I have the recordings. Vexthor's mandibles clicked furiously. You had violated Council law. You built weapons in secret. You ignored our summons. We exercised our right to self-defense, Chen corrected. Every species in this council maintains military forces. Every species researches new technologies. Every species expands its territory when population demands. Why are these rights denied to humanity? Because you are dangerous, Counselor Thrain admitted bluntly. The Draknor's honesty surprised even Vexthor. Your species breeds faster than most. You adapt quickly. You take risks others will not. Given advanced weapons and unrestricted expansion, you could threaten galactic stability within a century. So you decided to keep us weak, Chen said. To limit our growth, to ensure we never became a challenge. And when that approach resulted in our people dying, you considered it an acceptable price for galactic security. It was a reasonable precaution, Thrain insisted. For you, Chen agreed. Not for the 70,000 dead on New Terra. Not for the human ships destroyed by pirates you refused to chase. Not for the colonies abandoned to whatever threats emerged. Your security came at the cost of our lives. Ambassador Kelthera spoke for the first time. Admiral Chen, no one here denies that humanity has suffered injustices. But surely this display of military force is excessive? You have made your point. What do you hope to gain through intimidation? Chen's expression softened slightly as she looked at Kelthera. The Zinthari had always been kind to humans, or at least less cruel than others. Not intimidation, Ambassador. Demonstration. We needed you to understand that we are no longer helpless, that we can defend ourselves, that attacking us would be costly beyond measure, because without that understanding this council would have attempted to crush us. And now? Kelthera asked. What happens now? Chen pulled out a data tablet and placed it on the central podium. These are our terms. Humanity demands full sovereignty over our core systems and recognized colonies. We demand the right to expand into unclaimed territory without council approval. We demand equal standing in council votes and the ability to veto actions that affect human interests. We demand access to all technologies available to Tier 1 species, and we demand recognition as a protected member species, with full mutual defense guarantees. Impossible, Vexthor declared. These demands would elevate humanity to the same status as founding species. You have not earned such privilege. We have earned it with blood, Chen said coldly, with centuries of service, with deaths you ignored. We are not asking for privilege, we are demanding equality. And if we refuse? Admiral Kreth challenged. Chen touched a control on her tablet. Outside, the human fleet began a synchronized maneuver. 10,000 ships moved as one, flowing into a new formation that surrounded not just the council chamber, but the entire orbital station complex. Then we withdraw from the council, Chen stated. We take our ships, our people, and our technology, and we pursue our own path. We will expand as we see fit. We will defend ourselves as we deem necessary. We will develop whatever technologies serve our interests. And we will do all of this without council oversight, without council law, and without council interference. That would be war, Thrain growled. No, Chen corrected. That would be independence. War would only come if you attempt to prevent it. Counselor Yara raised a webbed hand. Admiral, your people have always been reasonable. Surely we can find a compromise. 70,000 dead was a compromise, Chen replied. We compromised our safety for council membership. We compromised our growth for council approval. We compromised our potential for council peace. Those compromises ended when you told us our dead were acceptable losses. She walked to the center of the chamber, rotating slowly to meet the gaze of every species representative. "I did not come here to start a war," Chen said. "I came here to prevent one. Because if you force us to choose between submission and survival, we will choose survival every time. And you have seen our fleet. You have seen what we built in 6 months of total mobilization." The 6 hours felt like 6 days. Admiral Sarah Chen sat in the human delegation's quarters aboard Defiance, waiting for the Council's response. Captain Maria Rodriguez stood nearby, monitoring fleet communications. Every human ship maintained perfect position, weapons powered but not active, a constant reminder of humanity's new status. "How do you think they will vote?" Rodriguez asked quietly. Chen studied the tactical displays. "Fear will win over pride. It usually does. They know what we can do now. They know what we might become. Better to keep us inside the Council where they can watch us than force us outside where we become unpredictable. And if they choose pride, then we leave and build our own path. It will be harder without access to Council markets and technology, but we survived worse. Humans always do." Rodriguez smiled slightly. "We came from a world that tried to kill us, built civilization from stone tools, reached the stars in less than a century after discovering flight. The Council forgets what we are. They forgot because we let them," Chen said. "We were so grateful to be accepted, so eager to join galactic society, that we made ourselves small, unthreatening, useful. We thought that would keep us safe." She gestured to the displays, showing New Terra's ruins. "It only made us targets." A communication signal came through. Ambassador Kelthera's face appeared in holographic form, her scaled features carefully neutral. "Admiral Chen, the Council has reached a decision. High Arbiter Vexthor requests your presence in the chamber." "Alone?" Chen asked. "With whatever escort you deem appropriate." Chen stood and straightened her uniform. "Captain Rodriguez, you are with me. The rest of the fleet maintains current positions. If this goes wrong, you know what to do." Her second officer, Commander James Park, nodded grimly. "The galaxy will remember this day, Admiral, one way or another." The walk back to the Council chamber felt different this time. Station personnel watched from doorways and corridors, alien faces showing curiosity and caution. Word had spread. Everyone knew humanity had arrived with a fleet that could fight the entire Council. Everyone wanted to see what would happen next. The chamber doors opened. Inside, all 47 species representatives were present. But the atmosphere had changed. Less hostile, more uncertain. The Council had been shaken, and it showed. High Arbiter Vexthor stood at his podium, but he seemed smaller somehow. Less absolute in his authority. "Admiral Chen," he began formally, "the Council has reviewed your terms. We have debated for the full period allowed. The vote was not unanimous, but a decision has been reached." Chen waited, expression calm. Inside, her heart hammered. Everything depended on the next words. "The Council accepts your terms," Vexthor continued. "With modifications. Humanity will be granted Tier 1 status equal to founding species. You will maintain sovereignty over your core systems and recognized colonies. You will have the right to expand into unclaimed space without prior approval. Though notifications must be filed, you will receive a full council seat with veto power on matters affecting human interests." Chen felt tension drain from her shoulders. They had won. "Not completely, but enough. The modifications?" she asked. Councillor Thrain stood. "You must share your quantum tunneling technology with Council species for defensive purposes only. You must participate in mutual defense agreements, meaning you will respond when other species face threats similar to what you experienced. And you will accept Council observers in your military facilities, just as all Tier 1 species do." "Reasonable," Chen agreed. "But I have modifications as well. Council observers must be approved by human security. We will share quantum tunneling specifications, but not the full manufacturing process for 5 years. And our mutual defense obligations only extend to unprovoked attacks, not border disputes or political conflicts." "Acceptable," Vexthor said, though his mandibles clicked with displeasure. Ambassador Kelthera activated a holographic document. "Then let this treaty be recorded. The Council recognizes humanity as a sovereign Tier 1 species, with all rights and responsibilities thereof. This recognition is retroactive to 6 months prior, acknowledging that humanity achieved this status through their own efforts." The retroactive clause was clever, Chen realized. It meant humanity's military buildup had not violated Council law because they were already Tier 1 when they began. It saved face for everyone. I will sign, Chen said. But first I want guarantees. New Terra must be fully compensated. The families of the dead must receive reparations. And the Krell must face justice for their raid. The Krell are not Council members, Vexthor pointed out. Then send a message to non-members, Chen replied. Attack a protected species, face consequences. Start with the Krell. Show the galaxy that the Council's word means something. Councilor Yara's amphibious features showed approval. A joint human council task force to hunt the raiders. It would demonstrate our new cooperation and give humanity experience working with Council military forces, Admiral Kreth added. The Vraxian had opposed the treaty, but now he spoke practically. If we must have humans as equals, better they learn our tactics and we learn theirs. The vote passed quickly. Within an hour, Chen was signing the treaty alongside High Arbiter Vexthor and the other Council leaders. Each signature was recorded, transmitted across the galaxy, and entered into permanent archive. Humanity was no longer a junior member begging for scraps. They were a galactic power. The signing ceremony was brief and formal. No celebrations, no grand speeches. Everyone was too exhausted for drama. But as Chen left the chamber, Ambassador Kelthera walked beside her. You took a terrible risk, the Zinthari said quietly. If even one Council commander had opened fire, it would have been catastrophic. I know, Chen admitted. But we had no choice. Continue as we were, and more colonies would burn. More humans would die. Our people needed to know we would protect them, even if the Council would not. You have changed the galaxy's balance of power, Kelthera observed. Other species will see what you accomplished. Some will be inspired, others will be frightened. The Council's authority has been challenged and found wanting. Good, Chen said. Maybe next time a species cries for help, the Council will actually provide it. Fear can motivate action as easily as compassion. Kelthera's scaled features formed what might have been a smile. I volunteered to serve as permanent liaison between the Council and humanity. Someone needs to help both sides understand each other. Would you object to my assignment? I would welcome it, Chen replied honestly. You tried to help us before. You argued for intervention on New Terra. I read the records. You stood alone among your people. Not entirely alone, Kelthera said. But yes, I saw what was happening. I saw the Council growing comfortable with injustice as long as it targeted lesser species. Your rebellion, if we can call it that, may have saved more than just humanity. They reached Defiance's docking bay. Rodriguez waited there along with Chen's command staff. Their faces showed relief and pride. It is done, Rodriguez asked. It is done, Chen confirmed. We are recognized, protected, equal, and we did it without firing a single shot. The fleet did well, Commander Park observed. 10,000 ships, 6 hours of tension, and not one nervous trigger finger. That shows discipline. It shows determination, Chen corrected. Every person in this fleet knew what we were fighting for. Family, safety, dignity. That kind of motivation creates perfect soldiers. The fleet began dispersing over the next day, ships returning to their stations throughout human space, but they departed differently than they had arrived. Council vessels moved aside respectfully. Other species' ships signaled greetings rather than challenges. Humanity had earned a place at the table, paid for in blood and steel. 2 weeks after the treaty signing, Chen received a priority communication. A Krell raiding party had been detected approaching a frontier colony. Human colony, but not one of the major worlds. Just 3,000 settlers on a mining outpost. Chen was in the command center within minutes. Response time? 4 human battle groups within 20 minutes, the tactical officer reported. The Krell don't know we can jump directly into systems now. They are expecting hours of warning. Send Battle Group 7, Chen ordered. And transmit this message to the raiders. She recorded it herself, keeping her voice cold and professional. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Human Defense Fleet. You are approaching a protected colony. You have 30 seconds to change course. If you enter the system, you will be destroyed. No warnings, no mercy, no survivors. The galaxy must learn that attacking humans is no longer profitable. The transmission was sent. 20 seconds later, the Krell ships altered course and fled. They had not even entered the system. Rodriguez, watching from her station, laughed quietly. They are learning. They are learning, Chen agreed. And so will others. Pirates, raiders, anyone who thinks humans are easy targets. Those days are over. In the months that followed, the message spread. Human ships appeared with impossible speed whenever colonies were threatened. Human weapons proved devastatingly effective against raiders and smugglers. Human determination proved absolute. But something else spread too. Stories of human engineers helping to repair damaged stations. Human medical teams responding to disasters on alien worlds.